Be seated. It's good to have everyone this morning. With joy every Sunday morning listening to you guys worship the body of Christ, singing the gospel, our living hope. So you sing it like you believe it. Do you? You sing it like you believe it. It's just a blessing. I know leading it is great, but sitting there hearing the voice behind you just lift up the name of Jesus, that is awesome. I'd like to introduce someone this morning. Just seen this morning an youth kid of mine. I was at Mount Calvary. Now, pastor is Ken Suso. So, Pastor Dan, don't leave yet. Pastor Dan Howard, right there he is. Dan Howard and his wife Nicole are here. Let's welcome them to Faith Bible Church. Dan, in high school, was a youth leader, and we did many crazy things in our youth group years. Particularly one story that had to do with Ken's car, that white Fiesta you guys had. We jammed, I think, 30 teenage kids in that car one time for a competition. I think we tried to drive it too, which we would never do in today's age. Not out on the road, just in a parking lot, but it was fun. So it's good to have you. It's good to have you guys here this morning. Pastor at church up towards Clark Summit, Pennsylvania. So it's always good to have you guys here. Your dad sings your praises, and you're the best son in the world, right? No, you have all your kids are equal, I understand. Well, last week we learned, there's 2 points we learned about building a lasting legacy. We talked about leaving a legacy means losing your identity. We talked about Mark 10, the rich young ruler who came to Jesus. He was unwilling to give up his riches, to give up his position. And the second point that we learned as we left with leaving a legacy means following God wholeheartedly. So this morning we can continue this legacy. Our text is going to be 1 Samuel chapter 1. But before we do that, I just want to give just another Mother's Day plug here. Just give you top 10 quotes about mothers. All right? Number 1. Mom, I love you even though I'll never accept your friend request. I hope that is not the case. Number 2. Reese Witherspoon says this: I always say if I am not yelling at my kids, you're not spending enough time with them. Moms, do you agree with that? Number 3, no one told me I would be coming home in diapers too. For moms that have children, yes, sometimes that happens. I would not know, but we'll leave it at that. Serena Williams says this: I've conquered a lot of things. Blood clots in my lungs twice, knee and foot surgeries, winning grand slams, being match point down. To name just a few, but I found out by far the hardest thing to figure out is a stroller. That I say that all the time. Judy, when she knew where the buttons were, I was like, I don't know. I'll just carry the kids, right? Phyllis Diller says this: I want my children to have all the things I couldn't afford, then I want to move in with them. That sounds like a pretty good plan. That sounds like a pretty good plan. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. And while I have you, quick apology for ages 13 to 21. How many are there? Apologize 13 to 21. Yes. Okay. Number 7. A mother is a person you can always call to see how long chicken lasts in the fridge. Let me just raise it. How many have still called your mom about cooking things? Raise your hand. Be honest. It's okay. Yeah. Every day I wake up and think, how on earth did I become this much like my mother? I say that as a dad, I say, that's what my dad would say. I become a mother's, it's okay, that is a good thing. That is a good thing. Number 9, it's not easy being a mom. If it were easy, fathers would do it. That comes from Betty White. I guess that is true. Right, dads? Yes. Number 10, if at first you don't succeed, try doing it the way your mom told you to do it from the start. So they're just top 10 quotes that I found I thought were very interesting and funny for us to come into Mother's Day. But we're going to talk about a mother this morning in 1 Samuel chapter 1. Her name is Hannah. Well, as we open a passage of scripture in the middle of the Bible, or the beginning of the Bible, we jump into a chapter. We want to kind of, in biblical interpretation, we want to kind of see what the bookends are, where Israel was during this time. So after the death of Joshua, we understand Joshua was where the nation of Israel followed Joshua into the Canaan land. They received their land. So after Joshua, the Israelites returned to serving their pagan gods. God allowed the Israelites to suffer consequences from worshiping their false gods. It was then that the people of God would cry out to God for help. That God would send the children judges to lead them in righteous living. But time after time, for 480 years, this cycle continued. And there's a slide here, it's kind of on a paper plate. It's kind of really a nice, simple slide that describes the cycle of Israel during this time. We see people sin. God sent trouble to the nation. And for X amount of years, they would be under oppression. And then the people would cry out. Then what would God do? God would then send a judge, a deliverer, to deliver them out. And then give them peace for a generation, for 20, 30, 40 years. But then what would happen? It would start over again. And that is the cycle we find ourselves. We come into 1 Samuel. This is where the nation is. The Faith Life Study Bible tells us this way. It breaks the book of Samuel into 2 cycles. The first cycle, 1 Samuel 1 through 7, starts with the miraculous birth of Samuel. We're going to talk about that this morning. And continues through his time as a prophet. He was the last running judge of the nation of Israel. Samuel was the prophet that continued through the reign of Saul. This introduced to the nation of Israel a different rule. See, God wanted to be their king. God wanted to be their ruler. But what did Israel want? Israel wanted a king. And now we're going into the stages of the monarchy where now God is going to set up kingship, where a prophet is the conduit to the king. So the prophet hears from God, displays or shares with the king, and the king follows God. We know through the nation of Israel, we know Saul started out well, but did not finish well. And then Samuel was the one individual in cycle 2 where called King David. Remember that story? The last youngest son, and God is out, God's looking for a king. He said, no, look, Jesse's sons. And he finds this guy out there in the shepherds doing things that a little boy would do at that time, and that was who was going to be king. King David, a man after God's own heart. So, if you were to look at an outline of the book, 1 Samuel, here's what it would look like. Number 1, God calls Samuel as judge. This is what we're going to talk about this morning. Number 2, God calls Saul as king. Number 3, God rejects Saul as king. And number 4, God calls David as king. And so, just to kind of give us a little history of what was happening during this time in the nation of Israel. So, let's turn to our text, 1 Samuel chapter 1. We're going to walk through this chapter. Because, mothers, this message is for you. We want to be like Hannah. And dads, I want you, there's some practical things I'm going to talk to you about as well. But today we honor our mothers. We want you as mothers to look at this story and look at this lady, this godly lady who was Samuel's mother. So let's begin at verse 1. There was a certain man from Ramathaim, a Zuphite from the hill country of Ephraim, whose name was Elkanah, son of Jeroham, the son of Eliakim, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephraimite. He had 2 wives. One was called Hannah, the other Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had none. Year after year, this man went up from his town to worship and sacrifice to the Lord Almighty at Shiloh, where Hophni and Phinehas, the 2 sons of Eli, were priests of the Lord. The American Bible Commentary says this of Elkanah. By leading his family in annual trips to Shiloh, that's where they would go worship and sacrifice, Elkanah is shown to be the man both submissive to the Torah and strong in his domestic leadership. Elkanah is consistently portrayed as one who is devoted to the Lord. His piety is suggested first by the fact that year after year, this wasn't a once-time thing in their life. He wasn't one who just worshiped God periodically. Year after year, he went up from his town to worship and sacrifice the Lord Almighty. Elkanah was a godly man who was leading his family in the way of God. So, I know this is a message on Mother's Day, but I need to talk to the dads in a minute. Are you the spiritual leader of your home? Elkanah was a spiritual leader. He took his wives, he took their children, and went and worshiped God year after year. Dads, it's not the mother's responsibility to bring the kids to church. Maybe you're in a situation where you have to do that, and God bless you, and you continue to do that as a mom. But dads, you kind of have this idea that, okay, the church stuff, the person, I'll let mom do that. No. It is our responsibility as dudes to lead them in the way of God. Amen, dads? That's not loud enough. Amen. Elkanah here was a man of God who led his family in the way of the Lord. Young ladies, getting ready to get married or looking for that special someone, don't marry someone or even look at someone. I don't care how good looking he is. Don't marry someone who does not want to walk in the way of God. Here's the mom. Say amen. This is a beautiful picture here of a family being led by the father who loved God. So, when you come home, young lady, with that gorgeous guy who's athletic, who has money, and the mom's like, wow, he is a catch. Dad's going to ask, so when did you come to know Jesus? And the girl's like, why did you ask that question? Because that's what we want to know. If you don't love Jesus, get out of my house. Amen, dads? Amen. Dads, we need to be like Elkanah. We need to lead our family so our wives can follow in that way. Okay, I'm done picking on the dads. Let's go to verse 4. I know the wives are like, oh, get her, Pastor Jason. Yeah, that's funny. I had a younger brother, and every time I would get in trouble, my brother would sit there like, yeah, you tell him, Dad, tell him, Mom. That's what the ladies were doing. Can you tell Pastor Jason? But seriously, we need to follow God, dads. We need to lead the way. Verse 4. Whenever the day came for Elkanah to worship, he would give portion to meat to his wife Peninnah and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah he gave a double portion because he loved her, and the Lord had closed her womb. Okay, so we'll stop there a minute. The portion thing. So here's how this worked with the nation of Israel. This was a peace offering. And a peace offering, there was sacrifice that was given back to the family to eat. So the family would go up, they would offer the peace offering, the priest here, Hophni and Phinehas and Eli, they would cut it, sacrifice it to the Lord, then they would give portions back to the family so they could eat. And so it says here, but Hannah received double portions because he loved her and the Lord closed her womb. So he gave portions to Peninnah based on how big your family is. So let's just think of it. If Peninnah had all the kids, Hannah had none. So when they would take the family to worship, what do you think Hannah felt like? What did Elkanah do? Elkanah loved Hannah and did not want her to feel bad. And so gave her double portion, more than what she could eat. But it was the fact that he was giving it to her so she did not feel bad. Verse number 6. Because the Lord closed Hannah's womb, her rival kept provoking her in order to irritate her. This went on year after year. Whenever Hannah went up to the house of the Lord, her rival provoked her till she wept and could not eat. Okay, so here, sacrifices. Elkanah gives Peninnah her portion, gives Hannah double portion, and then goes right into this family argument, this conflict that's happening. Year after year it happened. We don't know how long Hannah and Peninnah, it doesn't give how many children Peninnah had, it doesn't give how long this happened, year after year. But there was a rival between Peninnah and Hannah. What do you think that was? Now, moms, ladies, if someone was provoking you and irritating you, how would you handle it? You have South Jersey Italian ladies, I probably know how you would handle it. You want to come tonight? Let's go. Let's go. Come on. That's not what Hannah did, though, was it? I know how my wife would handle it. Coming at you. But what did Hannah do? Hannah didn't do that. Scripture does not record that Hannah acted in the flesh. Which, if we're honest with one another, ladies, we probably would act in the flesh. The Bible Knowledge Commentary says this about this particular situation. Because a Hebrew man, austerity, was bound up in having a son to perpetuate his name, his wife's ability, now listen to this, his wife's ability to conceive a son was regarded as a curse from God, according to Deuteronomy chapter 7. Having children was a sign of God's blessing. So, but Hannah, in her barrenness, did not diminish Elkanah's love for her. In fact, as we just read, gave her a double portion. So can you imagine, now from Hannah, of course, we see that Peninnah was constantly on her, trying to irritate her, poke at her. Where's your kid? I can imagine what she said year after year going up for sacrifice. But do you think Peninnah was also jealous? Why? Well, why is she getting a double portion? She doesn't have any kids. Why is Elkanah giving her? Why? Because Elkanah loved Hannah. As we see in the scriptures, Hannah comes first in the wives, Peninnah second. In that culture, much just like we see with Jacob and Leah, Abraham and Sarah, when the wife could not conceive, they would go to a maidservant or someone in the family, and they would conceive and have children. So you had two individuals that they lived together. That was the culture. God was not happy with that, but he allowed it to happen. We can see the mess that it causes. So Hannah was the wife he truly loved. But because of cultural standards, to have children, he had to get Peninnah. It's funny, when we rush to do things, what's God do? Look at Abraham and Sarah. Sarah concocted this plan to get Hagar, and this is the mess. But the family conflict here. The Hebrew translation of the word irritate is to taunt. Ever been taunted, irritated? The word provoke there in the Hebrew, irritate, causing one to anger. To be honest, have you ever been provoked or irritated to the point of anger? Yes, me too. Yeah. I want us to put ourselves in Hannah's shoes here. We read these scriptures year after year. We talk about Sunday school. We've grown up with these stories, but we don't understand. We put ourselves, look where Hannah's at right now. How would you handle that? Let's continue on verse 8. Her husband, Elkanah, would say to her, Hannah, why are you weeping? She's crying because the provoking, the irritating, coming before the Lord. She realized she doesn't have any kids. She received a double portion. She sees Peninnah. Peninnah's just making fun of her and irritating her, provoking her. And she's crying. She's weeping. So Elkanah says, why are you downhearted? Do I mean more to you than 10 sons? There's certain things like you see it play. Guys, there's certain things you might say to your wife, and you think it's going to be just like this epiphany, like, wow, what a wise statement. But when you say it, you have it played out differently in your head. That what happens? Like I end up on the trampoline sleeping for the night. Not really at all. She's never put it to me. Close, right? Huh? What's the way I get? Okay. He loved her, but there's certain things. She wanted a son. She wanted a child. And I know Elkanah's, because I've been there. I said, don't think to my wife. I said, I shouldn't have said that. Wow, that was very insensitive. Elkanah loved her, but she wanted a child. Verse 9, once they had finished eating and drinking and showering, Hannah stood up. Now Eli the priest was sitting on the chair by the doorpost of the Lord's house. In her deep anguish, Hannah prayed to the Lord, weeping bitterly. And she made a vow, saying, Lord Almighty, if you will only look at your servant's misery and remember me, and not forget your servant, but give her a son, that I will give him to the Lord for all the days of his life, and no razor will ever be used on his head. Speaking of the Nazarite vow, as she kept on praying to the Lord, Eli observed her mouth. Verse 13, Hannah was praying in her heart, and her lips were moving, but her voice was not heard. Eli thought she was drunk. He said to her, how long are you going to stay drunk? Put away your wine. Are you in Hannah's shoes right now? Hannah was a pious woman, a godly woman. She was a woman of faith. She followed her husband every year for sacrifice, year after year. Her prayer is the longest recorded prayer female in the Old Testament. If maybe we were Hannah, after God's not answering your prayer, would you think maybe she said, you know what, why are we doing this? Why are we praying? God's not answering my prayer. God doesn't care about me. Everyone in culture and society is looking at me as someone who's cursed by God because I can't have a child. You know what? I'm not going. But she followed her husband to worship God. So let's recap here the people here, the characters in this story, and see how Hannah would feel. Elkanah, her husband, loved her. She knew that. But the statement, hey, don't I need more of you than 10 sons? Right, honey, yes, but I need a child. Peninnah, provoking and irritating her. And then she goes to the place to pray and to worship and to pour her heart out for God. And here the pastor, the priest, hey, stop getting drunk. How would you feel? How would you feel? Verse 15. She says this, not so, my Lord. Hannah replied, I am a woman who is deeply troubled. I have not been drinking wine or beer. I was pouring my soul to the Lord. Do not take your servant for a wicked woman. I have been praying here out of my great anguish and grief. Eli answered, go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant you what you have asked him. She says, may your servant find favor in your eyes. Then she went her way and ate something, and her face was no longer downcast. Weeping bitterly. So there's 2 points, 2 applications I want us this morning to take with us. And the first is here. You'll see it on the screen behind me. When you can't control, connect to the Creator who has the control. In reality, we don't control any part of our life. God is sovereign. God is over it all. He knows the decisions we're going to make. He knows the boneheaded decisions we're going to make. But there's things in our life we think we control. Hannah was barren. She could not control that. And what does she do year after year when she went to the house of the Lord? She petitioned to God and said, God, I can't stop. When you can't control, connect to the Creator who has the control. We've been talking about prayer for several months. We have to be reminded of prayer, that we, in every situation, take our request, take our concern, take our pain and our anguish to God. Mothers, let me talk to you for a minute. For Hannah, it was barrenness. She could not conceive. The Lord shut her womb. The Bible tells us that the Lord shut her womb. There was nothing she could do about this problem. See, in deep anguish, Hannah prayed. That word anguish, she was enraged, she was hard, she was made bitter. That word bitterly there means to bewail, crying, mourn, to sob. Have you ever been around someone, when we think of Hannah, Hannah's just not sitting there sniffling. She is wailing bitterly in anguish because of this barrenness. As a police chaplain, I have experienced in death notifications the weeping bitterly in anguish because of delivering the worst news anyone could receive in their lifetime of losing a loved one immediately. And when you see that, it is heart-wrenching. And I want you to think of the person that you know that has wept bitterly in anguish. This is what Hannah was doing. She wasn't just sniffling. She just wasn't tearing. She was begging and pleading in anguish. God, please. To where the priest, Pastor Eli, thought she was drunk. This is how much Hannah was in anguish. So I've seen this on social media. I thought it was very, very appropriate. Practice the pause when you doubt. Pause when you're angry. Pause when you're tired. Pause when you're stressed. Pause when you pray. When you pause, pray. Pause when these things come in. And when you pause, when you take a deep breath, what do? We go find a friend and get her advice. We go online, try to find it. No, we pray. We pray. So mothers of children, I'm going to say some things this morning. I want this to be encouragement for you. Because through my years of living and hearing different moms and children's situations, I want to encourage you. There's going to be a time as a mother that you don't have control. So from a baby to about 18, hopefully 19, maybe 24, you get them out of the house. Yeah, listen, I'm just going to say, I don't want Mason and Mitchell being 35 years old in my basement wearing emoji pajamas, eating Cocoa Puffs, and playing Fortnite all night. I don't. I'm going to scoop them out of the house at some point. Amen, dads? Get a job. Pay me money if you're going to live here. But there's a point where I can't, like Megan, she's doing her thing, Mitchell's in the military. They're out of my hands. I've raised them. We've raised them the best we could. They're out of what decisions that they make. That's on them. Moms, listen to me. That child you have that's not a believer, and you've raised him up, there's no guilt on you. They are God's. Pastor told me once that, hey, your children are on loan to you. God allowed Judy and I to have 5 children, and then for 18, 19, 20 years, they're on loan to us. And what they do after that, they are God's. They make their choice. Moms, do not sit in guilt. I wish I should have done. You know, you placed them in the church. You spoke the gospel to them. You led them to the Lord. Don't put the guilt on you. There is a point where they have to take responsibility. Mike Jr., our youth director on Wednesday night, was sharing with our teens, listen, you've got to own your faith. You can't just scoot to heaven on the coattails of your mom or your daddy or your grandma or grandpa. It doesn't work that way. You must own your faith. And for some of our children, they have not owned their faith. And it's not on you because you have brought them up in the nurture and the admonition of the Lord. They have free will. They will choose what they want to do. So moms, relieve yourself from that stress. Maybe it's a child who's not walking with the Lord. Maybe it's that child who married that person you did not want them to marry. Guess what? That is their choice. And they have to answer to God for it. You've done everything you could do as a mom. Maybe making unwise decisions. Maybe financially they're just blowing money, they're doing this, and you give them advice, but they're going to do what they want to do. Guess what? They are adults. They have to answer to God. I think a beautiful illustration Pastor Mike shared with me this week is let's look at our Heavenly Father, God the Father, who created Adam and Eve. Perfect in the garden, fellowshipping, walking, eating fruit, just having great fellowship. And then what happened? They listened to this creature crawling through the garden. And they chose. They chose by their free will to disobey God. Was Heavenly Father not a good parent? No, He's perfect. He's holy. He's just. But He gave us free will to choose. So moms, if you've been holding on to this guilt, man, my son, my daughter, oh man, let it go. Give it to God. Like Hannah did. Her barrenness was out of control. She could not control that. Continue to pray. Continue to encourage. Continue to lift that child up to you. And bathe them in prayer. Number 2 is this. So as us to have children still in the home, this is a point for us. Always point your child to the things of God. Always point your children to the things of God. And guess what? Even when they're out of the house, you continue to point your children to the things of God. Through wisdom that you're giving them, maybe it's a son or daughter that's gone way off the deep end. You don't not stop loving them, do you? No. You love them like they were born yesterday. But always point them to the things that show them love. Yeah, there may be times when you have that hard conversations, but you bathe them in prayer and you continually point them to God. Verse 19, early the next morning, they arose and worshipped the Lord, and when they got back to Ramah, Elkanah made love to his wife Hannah, and the Lord remembered her. So in the course of time, Hannah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel because I asked the Lord. The Lord finally answered her prayer because of what she was. A godly, pious woman who followed her husband in the way of the Lord. Verses 21 through 28 is pretty much, this is kind of, I'm not going to read through that because of time, but we want to give you a synopsis here. Hannah gives her son Samuel back to the Lord. Literally. Look Look at verse 22. Hannah did not go, because again, go up to the feast. He said, I'm going to wait till Samuel's weaned, then I'll go up to the house of the Lord. After the boy is weaned, I will take him and present him before the Lord, and he will live there always. Moms, can you imagine praying for a son? God gives you a son, and you're giving him up. Literally to the Lord. Not just for your Lord, use him in his life. You are giving him to Eli to be raised by the Lord. Because isn't that what Hannah promised the Lord? Lord, you give me a son. I'm going to give him to you. No, when my 5 children were born, yes, when they were born, Lord, they're yours. Use them. I didn't physically take them to God and say, hey, here, Pastor, raise my kid. This is what they did in this culture. Hannah's heart was right before God. See, Hannah not only gave her son to God, but Hannah gave her heart. Hannah not only gave her son to God, but Hannah gave her heart. So moms, I want to encourage you this morning. Those children that you have, maybe they're not walking with the Lord, maybe they don't know Jesus. You know what? They have free will. They choose. You continue to love them. You continue to pray for them that God will change their heart. Do not put that on you. Okay, moms, shake your head. Yes, you understand that? And no matter what the age, for us that children in our house, we point them to God, we teach them about God, but even our adult children, we continue to point them and direct them to the things of God. Okay, moms? Dads? We need to lead the way in this. The spiritual aspect of our family is, don't put that on the mom. It's the dad. Sorry, guys, it's how we roll. That's how God set it up for us. See, building a lasting legacy is not about us and what we can accomplish here on earth necessarily. What we're talking about, the spiritual legacy, is about a legacy of working with God, working for God, that He works in us, through us, among us, that those works, that legacy will be remembered in eternity. And guess what? When we work those things here on earth, and we build a legacy, guess what? We probably are not going to be remembered here. And that statement that I read last week, live to be forgotten so Christ can be remembered. That's a powerful statement. Live to be forgotten so Christ can be remembered. After this book of 1 Samuel, you do not read of Hannah anymore, do you? Hannah gave Samuel, this man who was key in bringing David into kingship. Hannah was just a little part of God's narrative, of God's story. And her legacy will last forever and ever in eternity. Because she gave not only her son, but she gave her heart to the Lord. So how about us this morning? How about us? When we don't have control, give it to the one who has control. And always point our kids to God. Are we good? Is that something we can do in our lives? Moms, happy Mother's Day. We love you. We're so grateful for you. Before, as we pray, we'll have some children in the back. They're going to give you a present for today. And so as you leave, make sure you grab that out of the basket. And again, we're so happy you're here. We love you. And so let's stand together and we'll just close in prayer. And Eric will come up with the worship band and close it with a song. And when we will be dismissed. Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for our mothers. We thank you for just how you set up the family, Father. And Lord, this beautiful woman gave us an example of how to live. And so Lord, allow us to take an example. May our mothers use her as a hero of the faith of how to respond to adversity. As we give everything to you who has all control, and we continue to point our children to God, no matter their ages. We love you. Give us a great day. We ask this in your Son's holy and precious name.